All right, let's dive in. The source for today's explainer was a massive, and I mean massive, list of 250 facts. We've dug through that entire mountain of trivia to pull out the most surprising, the most bizarre, and the most mind-blowing tidbits for you. Welcome to our 250 Fact Gauntlet. So, this quote, it actually comes from the host of the original video, right as he was getting ready for a vocal marathon to read all 250 facts out loud. We're taking that same spirit and running our own high-speed sprint through our absolute favorite highlights. Think of it as our version of the Fact Gauntlet.
First up, we're talking about secrets in plain sight. You know, we're looking at things you see or use every single day, but that hide these incredible stories just beneath the surface. Okay, take the keyboard you're probably looking at right now. That QWERT layout feels totally normal, doesn't it? Well, get this. It was designed to be inefficient on purpose. The original layout was a logical A to Z, but people typed so fast that the mechanical arms on old typewriters would literally smash into each other and jam. So QWERT was invented to slow everybody down. A design flaw became the global standard. How wild is that?
And speaking of the tech we use every day, think about your sleek, modern mouse. Well, the very first one, back in 1964, was a block of wood. I'm not kidding. A carved-out block of wood on wheels. It's just an amazing reminder of how far we've come.
The original source also had some wonderfully practical stuff, like this. We've all been there, right? You drop something small, like an earring, and it's just gone. Well, here is a genius solution. As you see here, you just stretch a stocking over your vacuum hose, secure it, and start searching. The vacuum suction is strong enough to pull the item to the hose, but the stocking stops it from getting sucked in. Problem solved.
All right, here's a quick one that might just change how you see your internet browser forever. You see that logo? The fox wrapped around the globe? Yeah, it's not a fox. Firefox is actually another name for the red panda, and that's the little guy in the logo. Another secret, hiding right there in plain sight. Now, let's switch gears. We're going to turn from the world around us to the world within us. This section is all about our bizarre biology and some of the strange facts that connect all living things. This one sounds completely fake, I know, but it is 100% true. You share over 60% of your DNA with a banana. Now hold on, this doesn't mean you are 60% banana. What it means is that over half of the genes that run the basic machinery of your cells are basically the same as the ones in a banana. It's a pretty stunning reminder that we're all connected on a deep biological level. And from the profound, we go straight to the truly eye-popping. This number, 14%. That's the percentage of a particular bush cricket's body weight that's taken up by its testicles. Yeah, proportionally, that is a world record in the animal kingdom. Just an absolutely wild piece of trivia. Here's another one of those everything you thought you knew is wrong facts. You see a hippo in the water, you assume it's swimming. But they're not. They are so incredibly dense that they actually sink. So what you're really seeing is them running, or kind of bouncing gracefully, along the bottom of the river. They're more like powerful underwater sprinters than swimmers. All right, let's jump from the natural world to the human one. Because as we're about to see, history has taken some weird detours that are just as peculiar as anything you'd find in biology. This timeline is designed to completely mess with your sense of history. Get this. The Great Pyramid of Giza was already an ancient monument by the time the very last woolly mammoths died out. That means mammoths and ancient Egyptian civilization were around at the same time for hundreds of years. And hey, just to throw another wrench in there, the first cat video, that was filmed way back in 1894. Speaking of time, how's this for short and not so sweet? The shortest war in recorded history happened in 1896 between Britain and Zanzibar. It was over in less time than it takes to watch an episode of a sitcom. The whole thing lasted about 40 minutes. So, you know, Hollywood has given us a very specific idea about ancient Rome. But while gladiator fights were obviously brutal, they weren't always a fight to the death. See, gladiators were highly trained, incredibly valuable assets. Think of them like superstar athletes today. It was just bad business to have your prize fighter get killed in his first match. Here's a bizarre little legal quirk from pretty recent history. Up until 2011, in Russia, beer wasn't legally classified as an alcoholic beverage. Because it was under a certain alcohol percentage, the law considered it a foodstuff, basically a soft drink. Okay, for our final section, we're moving from history as it actually happened
to the history that almost happened. Let's dive into pop culture's lost tapes, the incredible what-ifs of film and TV.
Can you even wrap your head around this? The time machine in Back to the Future was originally supposed to be a refrigerator. That was the script. But the producers got worried that kids would try to act it out and accidentally lock themselves inside fridges. So they swapped it for the now legendary DeLorean. Probably a good call.
And think about how differently we'd see these absolute classics. Harvey Keitel was the original Captain Willard in Apocalypse Now before being replaced by Martin Sheen. And David Warner was almost Freddy Krueger. These last-minute casting changes completely redefined some of the most iconic characters in movie history. And we're going to end with a fact that brings everything full circle. The internet's obsession with cat videos feels so modern, right? Well, the very first one was filmed in 1894 by Thomas Edison, and it featured two cats in a little boxing match. I guess some things really never change.
And that brings us to the end of our Fact Gauntlet. You know, we only covered a tiny fraction of the 250 facts from the source, and that's just a drop in an endless ocean of information. It really gets you thinking about this final question. The world is absolutely packed with hidden stories and surprising truths just waiting to be found. The only question is, what will you discover next? Thanks for joining us.